Hello everyone, thanks for joining me. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. In January, I adjusted the tension on one of my alternator belts. There are two alternators on the boat. One deals with the leisure batteries and the other deals with the starter battery for the engine. It was the alternator belt for the leisure batteries that needed adjusting. Having filmed it 2 months ago, I think it's time I showed you exactly what I did. The recommended period for inspection of the alternator belts is daily, and I can't imagine many people do that. Anyway, I hope you enjoy what you're about to see. I've been getting some strange sort of scratchy, rattly noises when I run the engine. And it was in my mind that it might be the bearings on one of the alternators. Someone else has had a listen and suggested it may be that the main alternator belt is a bit too loose. I'm Alan. I own a 45-foot narrowboat, have an interest in industrial heritage, transport and technology, and invite you to join me as I cruise, repair and maintain my boat and visit events and places of historic interest. There are two alternators, one for charging the leisure batteries and the other for charging the engine starter battery. It is the larger of these on the left side that needs adjustment. Someone else has had a listen and suggested it may be that the main alternator belt is a bit too loose. And I have to agree, having checked it myself now, that I think it is a little bit too loose. So what I'm planning to do is to tighten that up and see what difference it makes. The alternator is fixed with a 13mm nut and bolt at the top and two 8mm hex bolts at the bottom. I'm going to slacken those bolts off at the bottom first, then slacken off the top bolt, and I'm going to adjust the position of the alternator to tighten up the belt. And to do that I use a jemmy, one of these. I've used it before. It just helps me to give it that little bit of leverage to get it in the right place to then tighten it up. So let's see how I get on. This is the position of the top nut and bolt, and the two hex bolts are further down. There's not a lot of room to move here. I'm going in blind. I think I'm on. It actually feels loose. I wonder if that's part of the problem. Let's do this one at the front now. Not going to slacken that one off too much. I'm using a ratchet spanner behind and a ring spanner to the front. Here it comes. To test whether tightening is necessary, depress the longest run of the belt using finger pressure. If the travel is more than 15 to 20 millimeters, then it needs retensioning. What I normally do is put this in here and try and leave it across. Oh yes, there's a lot of play there, a lot of play. I think to get in properly I'm going to have to move the camera for a moment and I'll report back. I've just tightened the top nut and bolt so far and checked the tension, and it is a great deal better. So now I'm going to tighten the two bolts at the bottom, the hex bolts, front and back. The back one is definitely very loose. I think that's probably what's caused the issue. I've only tightened the front one a little bit so far, that's the bottom nut. I haven't finished tightening the front one, but I think it's the back one that is important. I can't see what I'm doing. I'm going in completely by feel. I need to come from the other side. Oh, this is finger loose. Oh, hang on. There must be a nut on the other side of that hex bolt that I'm not aware of. That's probably the problem. The hex bolt at the front actually screws into the body of the alternator. It is not a nut and bolt like the one at the back. I don't think I can physically get to where I need to be to tighten the bottom bolt. The spanner has got to come in at that angle from the bottom. Part of the difficulty is the bulkhead here. I haven't got direct access over the alternators, and I don't have long enough arms. The alternators are right down here. I'll keep trying, but I'm really pondering now what I did when I changed the fan belts. I don't remember that being loose when I left it. I'm going to have a think about this. I have tightened up the other two bolts quite firmly. It may be a matter of having to leave them like that and to do more regular checks on the tightness of the fan belt now that I know there's a sort of issue. But first, I think before I do anything more, I'm going to run the engine and see if it makes any difference. I'm going to start the engine now. Let's see what happens. Wow, what a difference. That's incredible. I'm really pleased with that. That is turning very easily indeed. Well, I must confess, I don't think I could have tightened that bolt last time when I changed the alternator belts. It is very loose. It's not worked loose, it is loose, and I think it must have always been like that. There's no way I can get on it to tighten it, so I'm reliant on the top nut and the lower hex bolt. I say top nut and bolt, you know what I mean, and the lower hex bolt. I'll have to make sure those are kept tight, so next time the sound of the engine changes I'll know what I'm looking for. It has happened very gradually, I have to say. I've mentioned it before to others when I've been out cruising. I've heard this sort of noise that's sort of developed whilst I'm cruising. It's been like it for well over a year, I should think. But when I switched the engine on a couple of days ago just to turn it over, the sound was immediately noticeable and I knew I had to do something, and now I've done that. I'm going to call it a day on this job, but I'm just going to run the engine one more time because it sounds lovely. Wonderful. Checking the tension of the alternator belt is a routine check that should be made regularly. I have never had a problem before and have tended to look at condition rather than tension. Many thanks for watching. Look after yourselves, your friends and families. Take the utmost care in whatever you're doing. Until next time, bye for now. Bye everyone, take care.